Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Today what we're going to do is decorate my catch-all in my parenting layout. So we are working on the week of June 16th. And so let me find that week. Here we go. And we are going to go ahead and get it decorated. So for this week, I am celebrating Juneteenth, which occurs on June 19th, or celebrated June 19th. And I have some stickers that I made in Canva and printed and cut on my Cricut, and I have some box stickers that I made in Canva and printed and cut on my Cricut. I actually got the stickers from Creative Fabrica and did some editing to them. So let's get started. I'm super excited about this week. So I am doing June 19th as a theme in my catch-all and my work planner for this week. In my work planner, I used the traditional colors to celebrate Juneteenth. So black, yellow, red, green, and that video, by the time you see this video, that video should be up. So in this planner, I am going with red, white, and blue because Juneteenth celebrates freedom, right? Freedom from slavery. But I think it's very important to understand that the history of Juneteenth, American history, is not limited to your race or ethnicity, or whether or not you were a slave, or your ancestors, I should say, whether or not your ancestors were a slave. So I think it's important to make sure that history is represented holistically and as truthfully as possible. With that being said, those individuals who were freed, they are very much a part of American history, and their work and contributions helped build this country. So there is no United States of America without those people, and that is why I chose to use red, white, and blue to celebrate Juneteenth in my catch-all, because too many times we try to bury stories of all groups of people who contributed to the creation of this country, and I'm not going to do that. So let me go ahead and see how I want to set this up. I have 2 anchor images. Let me go ahead and put in some of my boxes. So I think on Monday, I actually don't have a ton of activities next week. So I purposely made these boxes to span Monday and Tuesday, right? Because I'm going to do a little bit of a cluster if I can figure out how I want to do it. I don't want the cluster to go all the way through Wednesday though. I want to keep it on Monday and Tuesday. So we're going to leave it here. And then because a lot of times I'll come in the beginning of the week, I'll kind of plan the rest of my week. Like I'll look at it and plan my activities for the rest of my week. So I like that cluster. The holiday is actually the 19th. So I made a holiday label for that. Let me go ahead and do boxes though, before putting in too many more quotes. I mean, too many more decor pieces. So I am putting in one of my favorite quotes of all time, probably my favorite quote of all time, from Ralph Ellison. I use this in my work planner as well. It says, "I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me." That speaks so well to so many things, but it actually speaks very well to what I was saying at the beginning of this video, and that is we tend to see what we want to see when it comes to history. Anything that makes us uncomfortable or makes us question, we oftentimes refuse to see it. And so this has been a quote that I read. It's from his book Invisible Man, which I read as a high school student, and it has helped guide me throughout my life, well beyond high school. And so it is so relevant to what's going on today. And so I thought it'd be great for this spread. Okay, I keep trying to put more decor, but I need to put boxes. I really do need to put boxes. I'm off Thursday, and so Friday, the weekend for me, I might be out of town. I might be out of town, guys. I may not, but I might. So I think I'm just going to put a couple of boxes here, honestly, because I don't know what I have going on. I really don't. So for now, I am going to do a little bit. I don't think I have enough to do a full like cluster like I did up here, but I just want to make sure that I have space to put an entry in case I need to do something for that day. So we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna put something down. Oh, where do I want to put this? I think I'm actually gonna put it down here. Okay, I think that looks good. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my box over here. I have a big box that I printed, this big journaling box, and that way if I need extra boxes, I can put them over here. I am going to do a journaling box for this week. It covers up a lot of space. I'm usually not a huge fan of covering up space like that. I like to leave some open spaces, but for this week, I'm gonna use the big box. Okay, so over here on this side, I'm actually gonna do something I normally don't do. I am going to cover my labels. Generally, I don't do that because I really like these labels. I think they fit. I think they work. And I use them, and I'll probably just relabel them with the same headers if I'm being honest with you. But to help bring in a little more color, I am going to go ahead and cover these up. So I don't know if I'll do meal plan or not. We'll see if I do meal plan. Okay, so that frees me up with a few more boxes over here. That's why I wanted to go ahead and do those labels so that I could see what I would have available to use. And I think I'm going to use this box right here. And then on the 19th, I am going to use my Juneteenth Know Your History sticker. Okay, so speaking of knowing your history, I think I'm going to do it up here. No, don't tear, don't tear, don't tear. Okay, we're going to leave it. We're going to leave it where it is. There we go. Looks good. So speaking of knowing your history, if you are not familiar with Juneteenth, what the holiday is and why we celebrate it, then, you know, take some time this upcoming week and just look it up, guys. There's nothing wrong with having to learn something that you may not know. I will tell you, as an African American, I did not grow up celebrating Juneteenth. I didn't. It was not a holiday that was celebrated in my home. I knew other people who celebrated in other states. Like, you know, we had friends from other places and they celebrated Juneteenth. But where I was from, it wasn't celebrated in my home. It wasn't celebrated in my community. However, my mother is someone who loves history. I got my love of history from her. And so even though it wasn't celebrated, I knew about Juneteenth. But I say that to just let you know that if you don't know about Juneteenth, there's nothing wrong with that not knowing. Just take time now to maybe make an effort to learn, right? So look up what the history of Juneteenth is, why we celebrate it, what the holiday is. I will say in this particular video, for those who are interested, just a kind of quick overview of the holiday, is that it celebrates the day that slavery, I don't want to say officially ended because that's misleading, but it celebrates the day that Union soldiers arrived in Texas and shared basically the news that, you know, slavery was over. And so we celebrate that as the day that, Freedom Day, so to speak. Although historically speaking, we all know that, you know, that freedom definitely came with chains. And so even though we celebrate that day, you know, it still isn't, there were still people in the U.S. who were enslaved after that day, unfortunately. However, you know, that is the day that we do celebrate as a community, and that is why. I will say, if you are not a history buff, then some dates to keep in mind is that the Emancipation Proclamation, guys, it was actually signed kind of in the middle of the Civil War. The Civil War was what, 1861 through 1865, basically, summing it up. And then the Emancipation Proclamation was signed during the middle of that time, I think around in 1863. It wasn't actually brought into law until the end of 1865, but it was signed. What's interesting to note is that a quote here would be really good, but I don't have another quote. So I was thinking about putting that floral there, but I don't know if I want to do that. Let's see. I definitely need something here, though. I just don't know what it is, because we have this quote here. You know what? I am going to put a quote here. I'm going to go ahead and put, keep exploring the story, because I'm talking about it, and I think that's an important part of history. But anyway, some dates. So, signed in 63. I think it was like actually voted into law like the end of 65. But when the Civil War was over in April of 1865, of course, you know, this is, you know, there's no social media. You know what I mean? So there's no phone. So you have to get the news out. And so Union soldiers, you know, they started to, well, they didn't start, but they continued to go through the South because the South had lost the war. So they continued to go through the South, and they were basically you know, when they would see communities of slaves, you know, they were delivering the news and, you know, bringing liberation with them, truthfully. That the war was over, the South had lost, and you were free. And so by the time they got to Texas, which was June of 1865, Texas had a large number of slaves, and those communities, they were resistant to the fact that they had lost, and they didn't want to give up their slaves, and so there were still a large number of people enslaved. And by the time June came, that's when when the news was delivered by Union soldiers, that is the date that we are, I need a floral here, that, or a butterfly or something. That is the date that we celebrate, June 19th. It is important to note, like I've said numerous times, there were people still enslaved after that date. There were communities, there were states who refused to obey the law, like entire states. For one reason, the proclamation, the Emancipation Proclamation, I believe it excluded what was called border states, those states that were on the border between the North and the South. Things like, I believe it was like Delaware, Kentucky, states like that. So maybe Maryland instead of Delaware. I'm not sure of the exact states, but there were states who just didn't feel like the law applied to them. And as a result, you still had people enslaved well after the Civil War. I will leave it at that and just say, I encourage you to look up, learn more about, I think I want another floral up here. I think a butterfly would be really pretty. Look up, learn more about Juneteenth, because it's everybody's history, guys. It's the history of the United States. Oh, this is going to be so pretty. Gorgeous. So take some time. A floral here would be nice. I think I'm going to cut it in half. So take some time and look it up. Oh, I totally forgot that I have some scraps I can use too. Because it is all of our history. If you are from the U.S. and your ancestors are from the U.S., then it's all of our history. It's not just mine. It's not just African Americans. It impacts all of us. So it's important that we know, and we know the true history. We're not just allowing people to tell us what they want us to hear, what they don't want us to hear. You know what I mean? Okay. I think that looks really good. I have one more scrap here. I have a couple more scraps actually that I could use. Let's see. One more. Let's see where I want to put this one. I do still feel like it's a little bare up here. So I think right here it would look pretty. Okay, that looks good. I really do like this. Let me find one quote to go up here. This is not going to be a quote that I printed. I'm going to pull out my stack of quotes. These are just general inspirational quotes, and I just want to put something up there. I got these from Amazon. That may be too long. I really like that though. It says, "We are fearless, independent, and original." Just trying to find something that'll work. I like this. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. The impossible is often the untried. That's what I'm going to put. The impossible is often the untried. And I'm just honoring those people who had to make a way once freedom came. I'm sure it seemed impossible and scary. And so I'm putting this quote to honor them, because somehow they survived. that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am in love with this spread. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. And I love using the red, white, and blue for Juneteenth because I think it brings everybody together as much as we can in the times that we're living in. So I appreciate your time in watching this video. I encourage you to explore the holiday of Juneteenth. If you don't know much about it, there's no shame in not knowing. There really isn't. The only shame is in closing your eyes and, as Ralph Ellison says, refusing to see what is right in front of you. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great week planning.